I did tell my wife that basically, you know, I want to do something with software world. Like even though I have been a mechanical engineer,
Sometimes we all have a dream. Everybody think about like, okay, to starting that company, to become a founder, but how much of us spend time on it?
I was spending 18 hours a day.
How do you see this industry? Is it more innovative now?
Definitely, it is more innovative now than before.
I believe that will add extra feather to your success. This is the Oil and Gas Breaking Bias show, where we are going to invite industry leaders to talk about their journeys and also technologies of tomorrow, in an effort to break some of the biases that might have formed around this energy industry. Good morning, everyone. I hope you're happy and healthy. I'm Anand Jha. Welcome to the Oil and Gas Breaking the Bias podcast. And you are listening to the mini series on the journeys of leaders who have made really big in this energy industry while breaking many of the biases around them. And today I have my friend Sunil Vedula, who is the founder and CEO at NanoPrecise Science Corp. Welcome, Sunil.
Thank you, Anand. Thanks a lot for this honor and including me in your podcast. Really looking forward to this.
Well, thanks for joining. We met, I think, 4 or 5 years ago. That's what I remember, correct? Like in Edmonton, Canada. It has been long since we connected, but I have seen your growth as an individual and also your company. So when I was thinking about this podcast is about learning from the people like you who have made it big, while coming over many of the biases that might have formed around you, or maybe in the industry that you are operating. So idea is here to learn from you, to learn from your professional and personal journey. So me and the listeners, they can get motivated, and they can find the same achievements or success that you have found. So without any delay, you can walk us through your personal and professional journey and how you came over and some of the biases or challenges in that journey, so we can all learn from it.
Sure. Thank you so much, Anand. As you know already, I was a mechanical engineer by background, right? I did engineering in India from one of the top universities there. And then I entered into oil and gas sector, especially in EPCM. So my first project was in South Korea with a company called GSCNC, GS Engineering and Construction. After that, I worked with the same company for some Middle East-based projects. And then I decided to do an MBA because, engineering plus MBA is a very good combination to basically commercialize, to understand the commercial aspects of your engineering work or innovations. And the reason why I came to Alberta is because I was in oil and gas sector, and I was thinking that if after MBA I don't land up into some management job, at least I'll be able to work as an engineer, mechanical engineer in some oil and gas sector. And honestly, it worked out really true. So I ended up in Worley Parsons
Okay.
and as a mechanical engineer. And I started my journey as an EIT. I worked on Suncor Fort Hills project, designing piping and pipeline systems. I was a piping stress engineer. I used to, approve designs for construction, how the piping is to be constructed, and their, assembly with the equipments like rotating machineries. So that really gave me the experience about oil and gas and oil sands specifically. To be really specific, the downstream and the midstream, not so much the upstream because I was not in the exploration. But that really gave me a good knowledge of what's the problems in the industry, and what can be done about it. And that's how NanoPrecise came into existence to solve some of the problems with the equipment downtime and energy efficiency.
So how you made that decision? Like I'm a little bit interested to know how working for somebody, and then what caused you. Like if you can pinpoint and that decision moment. What was that moment?
Yeah, it was, I was not able to do a lot of innovation during my engineering work, right? Yes, Loved being a professional engineer, stamping the drawings. But at the end of the day, it was the same kind of thing that I'm repeating every week, every month. So, and I'm following the specific standards. So there was the innovation was lacking. It was good for a couple of years. I worked for almost 4 to 5 years in oil and gas, in oil sand sector. And after that, it figured out to me that, I'm not seeing anything more. It's
Yeah.
it's becoming a kind of a routine work. And I'm kind of person that gets really jittery if I'm doing the same thing again and again, because I get very insecure that it can be automated, right?
Yeah.
So that's what propelled me into, you know, becoming like a more of a like a owner of an innovation business where the only thing that we are doing is out innovate ourselves on a daily, weekly, monthly, and an yearly basis, right? Because the only constant thing in this world, especially in the innovation world, is the change.
Oh, that's interesting. Like, I could understand. Like many of the listeners, they might be in the same boat. They might be looking for that kind of innovation. But in your case, you took a little bit more bold idea. Like you left job and you went from known place to unknown territory. It's not easy. How was that feeling? You had any fear when you took that decision?
Yes, I think a very important thing is that you know you have to ensure that your personal finances and your personal financial statement is sorted in a way that you are not taking too much of loans on like a luxury car or a 2,500 square footage house and all of that. Because if you do that, then you will be definitely worried about taking this risk, because you need to fund those, with some constant source of cash flow. And that's the problem with any new innovation and commercializing that innovation, is that you're not sure, and it was really like commercializable from the first day, then it is not an innovation. You be rest assured somebody is already doing
And
it, right?
already done that.
Exactly.
Make it that easy route.
Exactly. Yeah.
Yeah. So in your case, how you made sure like your finances are taken care, and you made a really good point. Like if you're not financially strong from that perspective, then it's very hard to take that decision. Correct. So this is one of the biases or one of the challenge that you talk about. What about the people around you? Like when you told them like you're going to do this, how was their reaction?
Yes, it's very important to have a really supporting spouse, and it's more important for us as founders to communicate, with our family members before taking those kind of decisions about our plan. You have to understand they are also stakeholders, so you should treat them no less than your shareholders and communicate with them about their plan, because in that process you also will be able to understand whether you are bluffing with yourself or you're being true. And if it makes sense these days, like, everybody is quite knowledgeable thanks to the information era, and the family is there to support you, right? And of course, like, you have to, it's a chicken and egg situation. It has to go both ways. The family has to support you. You have to communicate to a family with proper plan, your business plan and everything. In my case, honestly, I was not very mature at that time to even form a detailed business plan. But I did tell my wife that basically, you know, I want to do something with software world. Like, even though I have been a mechanical engineer, I want to learn software, and I want to make sure I fill this gap of not being able to innovate on a periodic basis in my mechanical engineering job, even if I have to learn coding for that. So I will do it. And what my wife saw is me basically at the age of 32, I was spending 18 hours a day learning coding at that time. For
Can you
2, 3 months straight, I did that. And my wife saw that commitment, and she was also very willing to support me on that. So these are the things, like it goes both ways, right? You can't
Definitely.
expect support from a family just by telling a plan, which even doesn't make sense to yourself. Forget about to your family, right? And you have to show that commitment. But when people see that commitment, not just your family, but everyone around you start believing in that and supporting you on that.
Oh, that's amazing. So if I have to summarize, it all starts from you. Like if you are convinced about your plan, if so sometimes we all have a dream. Everybody think about like, okay, to starting that company, to become a founder. But how much of us spend time on it? How much of us are clear about our idea? Like not many of us. But you made a really good point. First, you convince yourself, and then after convincing, you also put a hard work, like spending 18 to 20 hours on something that you have never done before. Yeah, and that's a big commitment for you, and also the family. They also have to suffer in that journey. So that's really, really good to know. And when you see during this journey, how do you see this industry? How do you see this energy industry in general? How it has changed? Is it more innovative now than where you were before?
Definitely, it is more innovative now than before because, see, everybody, if I have to put it in one line, everybody is in quest to increase their production per kilowatt hour of energy consumed or production per ton of CO2 emitted. Because, ultimately it's about becoming smart and getting more done on the same amount of energy, right? Or same amount of emissions. So in that terms, like you have to innovate, and you the industry has to innovate, whether it is upstream, midstream, downstream. For example, in upstream, we have installed our solutions in various like platforms in Gulf of Mexico and North Sea, and covering things like the mud pumps and a lot of reciprocating pumps or compressors and normal pumps also, and some like some kind of triplex pumps, right? So for the midstream, we have covered reciprocating compressors because the midstream is running all the time, because you can't expect any downtime in a midstream. Otherwise, you will have a glut of oil upstream while customers are not getting served downstream, or the refinery is not getting served downstream. And in the downstream, we see that a lot of basically, it has to be the maintenance optimization is more important because you have too many equipments. So overall, what we have seen is that uh, like to in the quest of increasing production per kilowatt hour of energy consumed or per ton of CO2 emitted, they have to make sure they're increasing their bottom line, even if their top line is consistent and not improving that much, but they have to increase their bottom line through efficiency. And efficiency only comes with automation or digitization and a couple of these things. Yeah, innovation has to happen, and it is happening. Yeah.
That's good to know. So innovation is happening. So if somebody is looking to become a founder like Sunil, I think you have a chance to innovate within your company and the role. But that's also I have learned. Like almost a 2 decade serving this industry, we all have some ideas. Sometimes you don't have to leave your company. Like you can also innovate within your company. And as Sunil said, this is a good time if you're part of this industry. This is a good time for new ideas. So there is lots of companies around us. They have venture firms. So if you're a really good idea, you can pitch to them, and they can help you to develop your idea. So again, it's a little bit less risk. But if you have idea, I think we are in the better shape than what Sunil was talking about 5-10 years ago. So
That's right. I totally agree with you. You don't need to like if you have a support. See, when I started um, around almost 5-6 years back in 2018, in 2017 or 18, um, at that time, all this corporate VC arm was still getting formalized. So it
yes,
was very early at that time, and trust me, in like the world has changed a lot very quickly in the last 5 years, right? It's a exponential
yeah, exponential.
improvement in the maturity. Exactly. So now, if you have an environment, for example, you work in any company like Siemens or ABB, if you're getting a good environment where you can be an entrepreneur, commercialize an innovation, and you're getting that environment, definitely you should actually pursue that without having to leave the company, right?
Yes.
Because ultimately, it's not about just money or it's not about a control. It's about uh, how you are innovating and making an impact on the planet and making a planet a better place to live, because as we all know, climate change is the biggest issue we are dealing with. And by innovating, if we can mitigate that risk while making sure production is also important to feed the world, how we balance by innovating within our own firm is more important than rather than setting up your own company and having a control. While that is good, probably you don't need to do that if you
Yeah.
have that environment, and what you want to do is innovation, so you can do that in your existing company too.
Yeah, makes sense. I think you're well summarized. Innovation can happen anywhere. It is all depend upon you. It all depends on you. I'm going back to your interesting journey. You came a long way. But if we have to relive your journey, what changes you might make to make it better?
Yes, I would definitely, couple of things that, like, selecting right early team members is a very, very key thing, because if you don't do that, then you can waste quite a bit of time
Hmm.
and your equity also. I mean, the worst combination would be when you raise money, but you don't select the right team members, right? Especially the early team members. Like, just like,
You have a pressure from the investor, but at the same time, you are not getting more out of that money. So
exactly, and you're giving away your stake.
yes.
That's the worst situation. So one of the thing that I would do if I do another startup is I would make sure even before you raise funding, you select the right team and co-founder,
Mm.
and and not just one co-founder but at least two to three co-founders, so that you have a good C-suite team formed. And that's what team is, what leads. And of course, see, in my case, I already studied the problem and what's the impact of the problem, so that was very clear. So I did a good job on that side. But what I would like to do, what I should have done, and I would do it if I do another startup, is select the team even before you raise your first round of funding,
Makes sense.
because that really helps you grow really fast. And growing really fast by iterating in those early years is key.
Yes. Yes. You made a really good point. So, so investment is like a fertilizer. So when you get a fertilizer, then you need what to do with that oxygen that you are getting. And if you're scrambling that time to find the right resources, right people, right idea, then you waste all the time. But you have a right team and right idea, then you just get a money or oxygen or investment, and then you just kick in, and then you don't waste time. It's a really, really good point. And I think the team is also is important in any case. Like in your case, you talked about the startup, but I think like whatever the work we do, I think team is very important. If you're right people around you, they can make you successful or not successful, in that journey. So I agree. I agree with that approach. You talk about your new ideas. Are you working on any new ideas?
For sure. I mean, we are definitely working on a couple of new ideas. I cannot say much about it, but basically what we are trying, see, every manufacturer, whether it is an oil and gas, pharmaceutical, steel, cement, is basically trying to achieve three objectives for their assets. Number one, reliability. Number two, energy efficiency. And the number three is the quality of the yield or the output, right? Whether it is a type of steel or type of oil or whatever it is. Everybody's trying to achieve this REQ. You can call it as an REQ framework. So far, we are focusing on reliability and efficiency, specifically for rotating equipments. But in the future, we are also branching out in static equipments and also getting into the quality part of it.
Makes
So
sense.
that makes us really sticky for the enterprise as a whole. So we are trying to address the whole REQ framework and not just for all kinds of important assets, not just for rotating equipments, for reliability and efficiency. Yeah.
Oh, makes sense. So I'm looking forward to that and that innovation. With that, I will ask you one last question because we can talk about your journey for hours and hours, and that won't be enough. But we have to respect our time here. Now, so with that, I will say, what would be one key takeaway for someone who is trying to make it big in this industry, maybe as a career, or maybe as a founder, or maybe as a business to serve this industries? What will be one key takeaway for our listeners?
So it's very important to, it depends on what are you trying to achieve ultimately. If you, whether you want to build your own business or, in this industry, or you want to do innovation to address climate change, or, make this industry more cleaner and, better. But depending on what you choose, uh, ne- uh, irrespective of any of these options that you choose, what I understand is that, like, it's very important to be flexible and agile and pivot and at every single point of time, because the market is changing really fast. And when I say market, means the the approach to make it more efficient. Ultimately, we all know that we have to increase the production per kilowatt hour of energy consumed, production per ton of CO2 emitted. We have to keep on increasing that. But there are multiple approaches to do that. But because of the way, the dynamics work, the viability works, one approach might work in some regions, one might not, and approach might work at some point of time, one might not. So one needs to be really aware of what is happening and basically keep themselves agile and flexible, and yeah, and keep innovating, because I have seen so many big logos and brands, you know dying just because they did not innovate, and they just were content. Oh, I got $800 million in revenue, and my profits are 30%. I just need to keep it going like this without taking too much risk in innovation, and that basically spells their downfall. So you have to be really flexible, agile, and innovative, and have to put in enough money in, like, have enough items in the product roadmap, and that really helps you with basically staying ahead of the curve, because that's what it is all about in the current generation. Yeah.
No, makes sense. I think you well summarized. We also call it voice of customer. Yeah. So if you're serving your customer, you need to listen efficiently and patiently, and also dissect whatever you're listening. What support, what help you can provide to that customer. Same
Yes.
thing, like if you magnify, then it goes to the market. So you listen to the market needs, and dissect that market need and try to come with some solution that can help your customer or help that industry, help those people to increase either reliability, efficiency, quality, whatever Sunil just talked about. And also, the speed is very important. I have read somewhere innovation cycle used to be maybe 10 years, then it reduced to 1 year, and it could be now 6 months. So every 6 months we see something new. So if you're just waiting there, so I will say use this time to do some action instead of just waiting there, because by the time you will do something, again, the demand might have changed. The requirements
Exactly.
might have changed. So speed is very important. Now, Sunil, I really enjoyed all the conversation. It's always good to talk to you about your journey, and I'm looking forward NanoPrecise to achieve new successes. And also, you talked about some of the innovation that you are working on. I believe that will add extra feather to your success. So, thank you so much for sharing all the knowledge that you have. And I believe our listeners were able to connect. Because sometimes you hear about many success stories and you might not able to connect. But Sunil is one of us who started with the engineering firm. He was one of the mechanical engineer, and from there he stepped out and established this company, who is also serving this process industry around the world. So with that, Sunil, anything to add to what I said? Anything to share with our listeners before we sign off?
No, I think it's been fantastic. Thank you so much for hosting me, Anand, and I look forward to hearing more of your podcasts. Yeah, and I hope your podcast gets 5 out of 5 rating and millions of views. I'm pretty sure you have been a great host and you will do great for sure.
Thank you so much, Sunil. So with that, we will sign off. We will meet again next week with another story. Have a great day. Take care.